How's everybody doing today? It's a beautiful weekend and I'm going to get out and enjoy it. But first I was doing a little browsing, had some questions. Let's get started, huh? How's everybody doing today? This is welcome to the One Man's Path podcast. I'm your host, and today I want to talk about marriage, and most specifically divorce. The two seem to be synonymous. They go hand in hand with each other, of course. But some of the things I was sort of looking up earlier today was, the divorce laws and how they seem to be heavily skewed towards women. As a guy, why would I want to get divorced, or why would I want to get married? Sorry, if the eventual outcome seems to anymore to be divorce now at this day and age. So a few things. Let's take a few facts about divorces. Okay, first of all, the average length of a first marriage is about 8 years. So why would I consider marriage when I know it's got about an 8-year lifespan on average? Chances of getting divorced is 42%. 42%. So it's about a 50-50 chance. You're really taking your chances. I mean, would you put on a parachute and jump out of a plane if you had a 50-50 chance of that thing working? I wouldn't. Definitely not. Divorce rates for second marriages are even higher, 60%, and then 73% if you get married a third time. In other words, if you just didn't learn your lesson, you're going to get beat up more. All right. And out of all these divorces, women, as we know, initiate divorces 70 to 80% of the time, just sort of depending on which study and which statistic you're looking at. But that is the average, 70 to 80%. And when the divorce happens, 90% of women are awarded child custody amongst the other golden parachute packages that are available out there for them, right? So when it comes right down to marriage, not for me. I say no way. Marriage is out of the question anymore, especially with statistics like that and some of the other stuff we're going to look at. So now I was curious as I was looking up these facts and looking up the different laws, what is the average perception? The perception of people when it comes down to marriage and divorce and what's happening here. So as I got looking around, I went ahead and I ended up over on Quora. Now, Quora is a public forum. Okay. So this is answered by just everyday people and what they think. And I'll start out with Hal Boyd here. He's an attorney. Now, this is not to call anyone out. Quora is a public forum, so this is out there. There's no reason for me to block out names or anything like that. And please, this is not to so we can go out and beat up on people. This is just for information. We need to be able to talk about these things, and we need to be able to get other people's opinions other than our own, so that we don't fall into a confirmational biased situation. When you go out and you start looking for information, we do have a tendency as people to keep looking for that piece of information that reinforces what we believe. That's confirmational bias. So the best thing in my mind to do is to get away from that and try to find other people's views on things. But let's start with the attorney. All right, divorce laws are gender neutral, meaning they don't favor one gender over another. The perception that law tends to favor one gender over another probably are derived from the equitable division of property. Equitable does not mean equal, although it can be equal. That's lawyer speak. Instead, all the factors are considered, including the custody of the children, the earning capacity of both men and the woman, the root cause of the divorce, and the amount of perceived blame and the property that comes into the marriage. The courts balance all factors in a contested divorce and try to reach so-called equity. All right, just looking at those other stats. Okay, I believe them. Maybe the laws are written like that way, but the way the courts handle it and the judgments they hand down do not reflect this. There is some gender bias here. And when we look at a gynocentric world, we know where that bias is going. Not towards us. As a commentary, divorce laws are more equal now than they ever have been. Women are better able to provide for themselves in general, since most households have two earners, whereas in the past it was more common to see one earner per household, usually the man. Custody issues are more balanced than previously, meaning that if a man wants custody and wants to assert his rights, now is the time that his rights in that respect are respected. I do disagree with that, especially when women are getting 90% of the custody awarded to them. Let's continue. Men specifically, although it applies to women also. Men specifically, although it applies to women also, finds courts very difficult to deal with. When the divorce is contested and the man is at fault for the divorce, the fault skews the equation towards the one party. Courts come down heavily on the man when the man happens to be at fault and the major income earner. I'm going to break out here for a second. Why is it that he's taking it from the fact that it's the man's fault? All right. There are statistics that show roughly that infidelity between men and women is right at a 50-50 margin, or 50-50 percentile, right? It's like 48.3, and then it's like 51.2. So couples that are in a relationship, and if I remember right, the one I was reading that were married, it was about a 50-50 chance that they would be cheating on their spouse. Continue here. Add the best interest. Let's see. We add best interest of children skewing towards the one party in the custody arena, and if you have the perfect storm, and then you have a perfect storm for judicial body slam, that is going to be most unpleasant. So right there, he's even saying that as the odds start stacking against the man, that the courts are going to do, as he puts it, a judicial body slam. Okay, they're just going to just lay into you. Again, the law themselves are gender neutral, and now more than ever are equitably applied regardless of gender. He just contradicted himself. When people want to pipe up and argue gender bias, they tend to overlook the equity considerations and blame it on a system that they see as being unfair. Sorry, fellas, this just isn't true as it once was. Okay, like I said, he just contradicted himself because he's sitting there saying, again, the law themselves are gender neutral and now more than ever are equitably applied regardless of gender. But he was sitting there blaming the man beforehand for this divorce and skewing everything towards him. That was that judicial body slam. So I find that interesting, to say the least. But that also sits there and gets got me thinking a little bit that in this, the whole light of all this, why are women initiating the divorce 70 to 80% of the time, right? So I asked that question. So here we have Elena, and she put here, why do women initiate majority of divorces? From my observation, women crave a strong emotional connection and are willing to go far to get it. We are culturally conditioned to view romantic love as a basic necessity. A little boy is growing up watching movies, reading books about superheroes or epic adventures. Toy Story, Avengers, Batman and Transformers, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. The main themes are adventure, good versus evil, discovery. Not one has love as a main theme. The only relational theme is friendship. In fact, when in the middle of 90 minutes of shooting lasers at alien creatures, there's a 5-second kiss between Anakin and the princess, and the entire theater of little boys goes, ooh. On the other hand, the little girl is growing up watching movies and reading books about princesses and magic. Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Sleeping Beauty, Pocahontas, Frozen. Romantic love is always the main theme, or at least one of the main themes. Then the boy and the girl grow up and meet each other. At first they have romance and fireworks. You can tell that she was raised on Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, okay. They get married. A few years down the road, the dust settles and routine kicks in. From the man's perspective, his marriage is fine. They have friendship. From the woman's perspective, it's bad because they don't have romantic love anymore. She feels like she's wasting her life, so she pulls the plug. Now, I find this interesting. This is a woman's explanation, or one woman's explanation, of why women initiate divorce. Okay, so basically, she's admitting that there's a difference between men and women. That's the first. I haven't run into that a lot. With everybody trying to go with blank slate theory and, it's all conditioned and social conditioning and everything. There's no difference between, okay. She's sitting there saying, yes, there's a difference. Difference how we're raised. Then what happens is she's saying that through the way that we're raised here, that women are constantly being told about romantic love. And that's all right. I understand that. But the problem comes in where you have to have romantic love 24/7. It all has to be the fairy tale. Okay? It all has to be the Disney story. There's the problem. Now, maybe Disney should modify some of their movies or reshoot them and show them what happens after, Cinderella gets the prince and, Beauty and the Beast decide they're going to live together for a while. And, Sleeping Beauty after she gets kissed, what happens afterwards? Maybe that's what Disney needs to sit there and say, okay, now the sequel is, how do you live with each other after that? That's an idea for a movie there. So women are constantly being reinforced to look for the feels, the tingles, basically what I call the heroine of relationships, right? Because that dopamine effect kicks in. They always feel those tingles, but we know it happens with things like any kind of drug like dopamine. Once you get that initial hit, the next one takes a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more because you get used to that feeling. You get used to that chemical response in your system. So instead of realizing this, women just figure things are over. Well, I'm not feeling it anymore. So I'm wasting my time here because, what's he doing, right? Going to work, making a living, providing. Now she may be doing the same thing, right? Maybe they don't mention children here yet, but if they don't have kids, she's working. She's, bringing in her paycheck. She's working hard as well, let's say. And then when they get home, they're both too tired to have that romantic feeling. It's almost like how many women, let's put it this way. If you walk in the door, according to this perspective, you should be in that automatic romance mood the minute you walk in the door, right? Bringing her flowers, giving her a big kiss, giving her a hug. How many women are going to walk in the same way, looking at their spouse, their husband? How many women are going to be sitting there going like, hey, yes, I'm ready for romance. Let's go. The job is over. Yes, the workday is over. Yeah. Let's do a little gender swap here and see what happens there. So they don't have a romantic love anymore. They're going to pull the plug, according to her. Okay. That's what a heroin addict does. Now here's one more. And I love this guy. I have no words for this. Greg Gray. Former worked at the White House for 6 years. That is verbatim, guys. That's verbatim. Why do women initiate the majority of divorces? According to Craig, it's actually pretty simple for a few reasons. Women have a legitimate claim to being the more abused and neglected party in the marriage. They are certainly more physically abused. Okay. I take issue with Greg. Let's go take a look here. This is from the CDC. This is a summary of the study that's been done. And it states about 1 in 4 women and 1 in 10 men experience contact sexual violence, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner and reported an IPV, intimate partner violence related impact during their lifetime. You can tell it's a government study. That's a mouthful. But what we're saying here, now there's a link to all this in the description so you can read this whole thing. In this case here, though, we're talking about the violence and the abuse. It's saying 1 in 4 women, but 1 in 10 men. So according to this study, and the year of this study was, let me go up here and take a quick look, 2015. This is the latest one I could find on it that came up. So in 2015, not that far off, more men were being abused than women in different aspects, right? The problem is that men And I'm talking about an impact-related filing a report. Men tend to not file a report as often as women do. Now, if you come down here and look at here, men in the U.S., about 1 in 3 men experience contact sexual violence, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner during their lifetime. The next line, nearly 1 in 10 of men in the U.S. experience contact sexual violence, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner during their lifetime and reported some form of IPV related impact. So what we're sitting here seeing, and I know it took me a minute to figure this out as well, because this is kind of strange here. It says first 1 in 3, so 37 million men versus 12 million men experience this. And the difference is here, though, in the 12 million men are the ones that actually report it officially, fill out the forms and report it, versus what they're saying here is the actual incident itself, right? So men are less likely to report the violence. All right, let's go back over to Greg. Modern women basically have 3 careers or at least 3 or 4 jobs in modern relationships. All right. This guy worked at the White House now for 6 years. Almost all have professional careers of some sort outside the home. Very few have a choice when it comes to earning money. Okay, I don't know where Greg's getting his information, because as far as women in college is at an all-time high. Women graduating from college is an all-time high. Women are choosing their careers. So I don't know where he says that these people, where women don't have choice. Women have choice of what they take in college. Women have the choice whether or not they're going to pursue that. And they have a choice of their career. So they have a choice earning money. Second, men expect, and most women perform, the majority of the housemaking, cleaning, cooking, and washing. The younger the couple, the more true this is. All right. I don't know where he's getting this statistic on this, but yes, I'd say if you do not have children and you're a young couple, the way things are now, yes, they try to divide up the chores at the house between each other. Okay, I don't think men expect, especially in younger couples, not been my experience, that men expect women to perform the majority of the housemaking. Now, if they have children and she has chosen to quit her job and become a mother, yes, then I would say a man would expect more of her, because that's what she has chosen to now do. But if she's a working woman, not a working mother, working woman, no, I would say no, that's not true. Third, women are the moms if and when children come along. I love that sentence. They do the lion's share of work that is required to raise a child. Okay, he got... Okay, women are moms if and when children come along. Like I said, I love this guy, right? Yes, most women do the lion's share of work when raising a child. Why? It's the choice that they make when they decide to have children. They want to be a stay-at-home mother, then this is true. They will do the majority of the work because it takes a lot of work to raise a child. Number 4, women are expected to take care of their looks and at times dress. I love that. Yeah, at times they're supposed to dress. I don't know how many times I've walked in the house and my girlfriend at the time didn't have any clothes on. Right. No. Anyways, women are expected to take care of their looks, which, yes, and so are men. Men are expected to take care of their looks. Okay. If you get too comfortable and you start gaining weight, male or female, you're not going to be as attractive to your mate at that point in time. It's not going to happen. And you can use all the excuses in the world. And yes, I have the fat version of myself and I have the thin version of myself that I've come back to. But yes, you are to take care of your looks. You are to exercise. You're to sit there and to look good, groom good. Okay. You're expected to bathe, both men and women. Come on, guys. And be appealing at and be able to perform like the best of sex workers at the drop of a hat, but without pay. Okay, this guy's never had a relationship. That's all I'm going to say on that. He continues, I think there comes a time that women look around and realize they could be on their own. And most likely less work to do. Sure. They will still receive financial support in most cases for at least child support. If there is a house involved, they will get it as well to the house, the children. And same goes with the car many times. All right, this guy, if he worked in the White House, this explains our system of government right now. I know what he's trying to say, but wow, really? Yes, they'll receive financial support, like in child support. Sometimes they will get some alimony. Yes, that's just the way he phrased that. It hurts me to read that. They will have a couple of weekends a month when they have time to themselves in daylight hours, and can even sneak in casual relationships when they desire them, and even a romantic liaison when they want one, as well as perhaps every Wednesday evening all to themselves. This is what somebody's thinking in their head. This is awesome. Men will work at their jobs, but they are loath to do much around the house other than yard work. Yeah, I chose this one because we need some levity in this conversation. The links to these pages, guys, are in the description. What I would say, there is some interesting reading in here to find out kind of what people's concepts are about divorce, about what's happening and why. This sort of gets to the thing that when people say, "Well, this is my truth," and I have to say, I'm not interested in somebody else's truth. I'm interested in the truth. The truth of this is yes, the courts are very, very biased towards women when it comes to divorce. Men are actually getting the short end of the stick on that, right? I mean, plain and simple, men are just getting burned, right? I mean, that's all there is to it. Where is it? There it is. Nope. Anyways, men are just getting burned when it comes to divorces and relationships, and they're expected to just sacrifice themselves just so the woman in their life can get a golden package, right? The parachute, golden parachute. And unless we as men change that, unless we start standing up and saying, wait a second, this is not right. This makes no sense. This needs to change. Basically, we need to take a lesson from all the feminists. This is what they did. They started out small. They wanted, equal rights for equal work for equal pay, which I agree with. You shouldn't be, if you can do the same job, you should get paid the same thing. But then that moved on to getting birth control. Now they could have as much sex as they wanted to, the freedom of sex without being ashamed on that one. And then it's moved up slowly, little bit by bit over the last, 1960. So we're looking at almost 40 years. Oh, no, 50 years, going on 50 years right now. As that whole change started coming, they did it at little increments. And we as men have to do the same thing. We have to take things back. Now, if we go in with guns blazing, we're going to hit a lot of resistance and we'll be diminished for that. But if we go in and we start taking small steps and we start turning this around, then we can start looking for things that, for a legal system that will be more fair. Maybe not totally fair, maybe not totally equal, but it's going to get more and more fair. But we have to be diligent. We have to be the diligent ones on doing this, or else this is just going to get worse. and worse. And it's going to continue. And we'll have nobody to blame but ourselves. So hopefully that gives you something to think about. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I want to know what you think about this. And go out and have a great weekend. And we'll see you soon. Bye now.